Hello, everyone, and welcome to Source Code Weekly. This is March 28th, so let's get started. Team updates. Michael.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning that in April I'm off a few days, so just FYI, just raising that up now.
Perfect. Thanks for raising this. And let us know if there's anything that we can do during that time. Okay. And design team preview. So I guess, Michael, I'll leave it to you as well.
Yeah. So inside the Epic for organization of branches is a video kind of giving an overview of some of the ideas around bulk editing, archiving, and kind of filtering around branches. Um, the idea here is that I want to have a discussion within our group of what we want to do, like which of these areas we want to focus on, which things we're like not confident on implementing. And so this one is more for our group to review, and then maybe next week or 2 weeks from now we can sync up and have a kind of, or like leave the feedback inside the issues around. Yeah, I think this is crazy. Like, we can't get the merge, like we can't do filtering like that or stuff like that. So that's the kind of feedback I'm looking for around organization branches.
And so I thank you for the video, by the way. I didn't see it yet yesterday. I'm going to watch it today. Do you think, I know we talked last time about potentially setting like a session to like an open session for this team so that anyone that wants to join in and contribute to the conversation around it could kind of have a sync discussion on it. So how do you suggest we go about that? Should we start by like
So
looking at it, taking notes in the issue, and then meet?
yeah, so I think because today is like Thursday or whatever, and next week is kind of like friends and family and Easter and all this stuff. I feel, and then the following week I'm like, I don't know if I'm here or there. So next week, yeah, maybe the week of the 8th to 12th. Based on any feedback that we have there, we can have like just a session where we just go through the feedback and then go through like that. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think yeah, async first, like leave the comments in there so that I could like tackle them like asynchronously, and then we'll try to find a time in the week of April 8th to 12th, somewhere around there to have
Perfect.
a sync call.
Okay, so I added that to the notes so we could have a meeting from 8 to 12. In the meantime, we will provide async feedback to Michael for review. Okay, sounds great. And the same, I guess, same for the directory and file page. I saw the thread, the ongoing
Hmm.
thread of feedback.
Hmm.
So for this one, what was the update? Are you waiting for people to gather a bit more feedback before moving forward?
I'm just letting people absorb and provide feedback. I think going the async route on this one was a good call versus trying to host an AMA and then trying to field all those questions in real time. So I think this is a way where we're getting feedback that's useful and then we can action on some things there. So I'm gonna let this like come through next week as well because it's a short week. And then yeah, probably the week of 8th, 12th, I'll respond properly. At the moment, it's pretty good. There's nothing, no blockers in my opinion. So I think we're okay there.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for this. Um, I did skip over, I forgot to put one point in big picture updates, so I just added it. Just a update. Some of you might have seen it that I sent yesterday on our channel. So I remember we had a conversation way back on instrumentation for new features. And when I say new features, I mean like new customer facing features and how we want to introduce more instrumentation whenever we release things out. And so the idea is, so I got feedback initially. So I was suggesting at first that we basically, for a feature issue, we would have a definition of done in the issue that would say to call this task done, we need to integrate these metrics. At first, I heard concerns around the fact that that might make it so that the weight of some of these issues could kind of go above 3, and it might not always be realistic to have it part of an issue. When it's an epic, it's easier because we can link it to the epic and then break down the work. But still, where like the outcome that I'm seeking with this is to make sure that when we release a feature, that we've thought of instrumentation upfront, that we have ideally the instrumentation ready to go at the same time as the release. So how we handle it from like like the processes that we put around it, I am happy for everyone to contribute if you have ideas of how we should be doing that. My initial proposal is let's at least create an instrumentation issue that we attach either to the epic for the feature or to the feature issue if it's only an issue, but we link it there. And we start basically as a team, we start like basically we set a process where we say, okay, for each customer facing issue, we want to release the instrumentation at the same time as much as possible. I'll work with André to make sure that we schedule, like if we schedule the release for a feature, like we expect the release to be in a certain milestone, that the instrumentation is done in the same milestone as much as possible, because we don't like what I don't want is I don't want us to stop on releasing features because we don't have the instrumentation that we need, right? We don't want to slow down. That's not the goal. The goal is just to make sure that we have that what we want to learn out of what we've built, or like this, like we want to measure, like either we want to measure if we've achieved what we wanted to achieve with the feature, or either we want the instrumentation to make sure that we're understanding our customers' behaviors, or we're trying to learn something. Like for the blame, like the blame that Paulina has been working on is a really good example of that. So, so my message here, and for everyone that's going to work, like think about this async, is just think about it. If you have any feedback or ways that you think we should do this differently, feel free to reach out to me. For now, I want at least a link between the issue and the instrumentation issue, and for us to schedule them so that the release coincides with everything being ready, and the readiness includes the instrumentation. How we do it tactically, I'm very open to suggestions. And I do want to thank Paulina for looking, because I saw like she's been looking into the let me just the internal event tracking that's available to us, and then like has been suggesting quite a bit of changes to the initial scope to make sure that we're measuring things that will bring us value. So I do want to like just thank you for your contribution to getting started on this. This is
Oh,
super helpful for getting this process started.
thanks. With issues connected with the feature, the only thing I have when it's just one issue for a feature is if we merge it just before the milestone ends and the instrumentation doesn't get merged. So it's the same with documentation, and we end up with a feature released without instrumentation because of the cutoff date. So it's of course easy if we have feature flags, we can manipulate with feature flags in. But if it's a simple change that we want to add instrumentation, maybe that it's worth having a bigger issue. But I think it's case to case scenario, probably.
So do you like because one of the things that I was like pondering on when before I wrote my message is, are there situations where, let's say we've got a feature issue that would be weighted as like 1 or 2, but we still want to instrument something? Like, should we have the definition of done write in the issue? Like, are we adding complexity by always having an issue attached? But at the same time, if we do it two ways, right? Sometimes with an instrumentation, like I'm worried that we're going to lose track of, where, like, so I'm just trying to find a process that's easy for everybody, that makes it easy for to just to, like, easy to track. If there's like some sort of manual check that we need to do to make sure that it can happen that things won't make it on time, but and I mean, depending on what the issue is, I guess there's, like, in some cases it's going to be acceptable that it falls into like another milestone, but as much as possible I'd like to avoid that. So I'm not sure what the best process is to make it lightweight and ensure that we're thinking about it along the way. So open to, like, feel free to, like, think about it and get back to me on that.
Yeah, I only have experience with this one, so I'm not sure how universal that is, but in this one, the majority of work was before actually implementing the events and metrics. Like, there's a CLI that's really, really nicely done, and it actually takes just a little while to implement it. So in terms of creating code for instrumentation, that's not a lot of work. I think most of the work is upfront. And that can actually be done, I think, before planning even. So like when we prepare the design, we make sure we have description. So like make sure in description we have already defined events and metrics, and that will be the majority of work actually. So maybe like circling with the engineer before scheduling the issue, but having the events and metrics already in the description.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good.
You can try that way first.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we could do that, and then let's iterate on it, right, as we go. And if I know, Paulina, you're in the middle of it, so feel free to kind of come up with like some sort of postmortem for us, where if there are things that you see have worked and doesn't work. Again, this is meant to be not something that slows us down. Actually, my goal with this is that we identify in advance what are the learnings, or what are the things that are important for us to understand in customer behavior, so that we can actually accelerate on figuring out what we need to do next, right? Like that's the intent, and not just instrumenting everything for the sake of instrumenting, right? It's so that's also very important for me to say. Like, this is not meant to make things more heavyweight, really to make sure that we're capturing the right things. So all right, so let's start with a first, like, approach, and then iterate. But again, for anyone that's not on the call, please, as we go and we start this process, if you have any feedback on what's working, what's not working, let's talk about it so that we can find the best way to do this. All right, cool, awesome. So specific items, Martin, it's your turn.
Hi, thanks. So yeah, I'm reviewing my first merge request for branch rules. And like, it's not for this merge request specifically because it only deals with renaming the feature flag, but I know I had some comments about the UI text. And so I was curious where to share this feedback at this point, now that some implementation is in progress. Michael, voice your response.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so this is my bad for not putting the UI text label on this. I think it was just in the franticness of trying to get it up and ready, like, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, and it's just like, cool. So that is that. I assume that there wouldn't be much that would be needed because most of it follows protected branches and merge request approvals kind of language. So hence there wasn't like a huge concern on my part. But yeah, I think if you have if you have feedback directly in the issue, or if you follow the Figma link that I attached there, it kind of shows you the flow of, like, from creation to, like, the normal way, the wildcard way, and then all the different various states of like, okay, you're gonna add allowed to merge, allowed to things. And I think that that area, now that we mention it, is kind of like my little area that I want to like fix, which is like if you don't set anything, everyone's required to use a merge request, which is something that like to me was the biggest annoyance of protected branches, is that like when you see it, all you see is a bunch of drop downs. So I wanted to make it clear that like if you set things a certain way, then our empty states kind of reflect that. So I'll point that out to you in the issue there too. So yeah, thanks for reminding me about doing this. Yeah, moving forward, I'll be more careful with that stuff too, especially that we have some stuff coming, a lot of UI things coming. So yeah.
Thanks. I can check out the Figma link, but so this is a question to you, but also to the front end people that might be still working on it. How it's going to be, how to make the feedback the easiest for them to discover and implement. On the UI text label, it's not automated, so if you see it's missing, add it, but it also doesn't, I don't think it results in any bot behavior, and it's more as a reminder to the people that didn't remember to add it, but somebody else did, and its description says to involve a tech writer. So all good, and thanks.
Wonderful. And the other point was mine. It's only an FYI, no action here. Just to let you know that I'm working on the improvements to the Beyond Identity integration that was recently released as a high priority. Igor is also involved in that and has been providing feedback based on the requirements we're getting from a customer currently. So just so you know that I've been having to handle that as a priority. So that was only an FYI. All right, workflow. Martin?
Yeah. So like thinking of this kind of stuff, and still source code is my least known area of the features. And Michael, how do you feel about us setting up a sync chat? I don't know, every 2 or 3 weeks. Let's figure out time zones, later. But I don't know. I've done this with a couple other product designers, and then we stopped. With how my familiarity with the area changed, and also if there are milestones and milestones coming, that the group is mostly working on backend stuff.
I think yeah, 2 weeks is fine. Let's set something up next week, because April is kind of like
I know.
very spotty. So let's set something up, because I saw one question that you had in there on the MR around like the relationship of branch rules and protected branches, and kind of like where we're going with this, and that ties into something that Marie and I are looking to kind of like help shape up, because at the moment we're going to run both in parallel, but eventually we need to figure out what that vision is, because
Okay,
there's
cool.
no vision beyond this. Yeah, cool. So
all right, thanks. It feels like it will be useful for me to have you explain to me some of those things. Cool, thanks.
Great. So I think we are done with the recording part of this. So thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your week.